Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Kindness Advantage. I'm your host, Cindy Rowe, and in 10 minutes or less, I'll explore ways to share kindness into every corner of your life. Today's episode is all about kids, planting the seeds of kindness in the hearts of young people. We often on this podcast talk about kindness in the workplace or in leadership or sometimes in our own personal lives. But today I'm shifting that focus to the next generation because honestly, if we want a kinder world tomorrow, we need to nurture kindness in our kids today. So, in the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about why teaching kindness to kids matters now more than ever, practical ways to encourage kindness in everyday life, and how to model kindness in ways that stick. So, are you ready? Let's get at it, right? So, why? Why is kindness such an important value to teach children? Well, if you're listening to my kindness podcast, I hope you know this answer. But if this is the first time listening, here is why we would want to do this for our children. First of all, it builds empathy. It helps kids understand that their actions affect others. And in the world of gaming, sometimes that area really gets fuzzy for children. And it also lays the foundation for emotional intelligence, positive relationships, and good decision making later in life. According to research from Caring Common Project, sorry about that, Making Caring Common Project, at Harvard, kids are more likely to succeed academically, socially, and emotionally when they are raised in environments that prioritize kindness, empathy, and care for others. I speak a lot at schools, and I always ask children, right, what kindness means to them. And if you're a common listener to my podcast, you know what that answer is, and that's including others. And I just did a podcast about including others and inclusion and allyship. But I really believe kindness is very strong within children. But there is, you know, sometimes we need to help them absorb kindness, in their own terms. They watch, they listen, and they learn from us, the adults in their lives. So even if you're not a parent, I'm pretty certain there is a child in your little circle, families or friends. So how do we teach kindness in a way that's both meaningful and fun? I want to break it down to three different ways. Number one, you have to model it. Plain and simple. This is probably the most important idea and concept. You've heard it that kids don't do what we say, they do what we do. So if you want to raise kind kids, the first step is to be a kind adult. It really does start with you. Hold doors open. Say thank you. Apologize when you are wrong. And speak kindly about others, even when they're not around. They will pick up on all of this. They will see those actions. And those are the moments that stick. Even when you don't realize it, your kids or the children in your life are watching and they're learning. Number two, make it a habit. Kindness isn't just like one lesson and we're done. And it's not something that you just say, okay, we're going to be kind people, kind humans. No, it's actually a practice. And I teach this all the time. You have to be intentional. You have to continue practicing it. That way, when times are tough and hard or challenging, you can flex that kindness muscle and it comes a lot easier. So, Encourage small daily acts of kindness. Help a friend clean up. Compliment somebody at school. Write a thank you note to a teacher or to somebody that gave them a gift. And let a sibling go first. Making kindness part of the routine is simple. Praise when you see it. And most importantly, talk about how it feels when we give or receive kindness. Those are the types of connections that uh, make kindness stick. One little activity that I used to do with my kids is if we had, let's say, the last brownie, right? And both kids want it. Well, I would let one kid cut it in half. And if you're like most children, right, there's always going to be a slightly bigger half. It's not going to be right down the middle. So my rule was whoever cuts it, the other person gets to grab the piece that they want first. That way it makes it fair. But what I'm building or what I was building into my children is kindness, right? Being fair with the servings, being, not trying to cheat, not trying to get a bigger piece, but cutting it fairly for both people. And it took a while for them to learn this, but sooner or later, they did figure it out. The third thing that I want to point out is talk through those tough moments, right? Sometimes, duh, we all make mistakes, right? And it's they might have said something mean or acted out of frustration, which is completely normal, right? We are human. We all have emotions, but we could use those moments to be teachable in the sense of kindness. So instead of just saying, be nice, stop doing that, just be nice. Maybe you turn it around and say, how do you think that made them feel? What could you have done differently next time? And how would it feel if they said that to you? So those questions actually build empathy, and empathy is the heart of kindness. But it also like makes them think about their actions versus just being told like be nice, be kind. Well, how do we get that? Let's dig a little bit deeper. Have them explore some of the ways that they might feel. And here's something else that you might want to remember. Kindness is for everybody, every child. It's not just for the quiet ones or the good ones or the nice ones. It's everyone. We are born with kindness, right? We have it within us. But sometimes we unintentionally expect kindness from certain kids more than others, or reward behaviors that look like kindness but are really just people pleasing. And it's something I'm still learning about people pleasing. But there is a big, big difference. In fact, I think people pleasing probably goes in line with niceness versus kindness. But we need to be intentional about helping every child see that kindness doesn't mean being perfect or passive. Nope. It actually means being courageous, inclusive, and respectful in how we treat everyone. So, do you want to take it a step further? I have a few other ideas for you. This is ways that you can promote kindness in creative ways. Create a family or a classroom kindness jar. Each time someone does something kind, add a note or a token and watch it grow. And then, like, once that jar gets filled up, maybe there's a prize at the end. They get to choose if you just have one child or your children, they get to choose a dinner out. Or they get to go to the store and pick up a toy for $10 or something like that. Something that brings and builds onto that kindness. And you are physically sharing, the reward with them, and they can actually see it grow. Read books or watch shows that highlight kindness. Stories are so powerful, and that's sometimes the way we learn best, right? And it could actually help spark conversation afterward. Another way is celebrating World Kindness Day, random acts of kindness week, or even making your own kindness challenge. In the show notes, I have a downloadable PDF file that I share every week on 45 different acts of kindness that you can do. I also have a 7-day challenge. So during the summer, if this is something that might be a fun activity for you and your family to do while the kids are on summer break, please download it. It's free resources just for you. But making a cool kindness challenge for your family can make it a lot of fun, and they're learning at the same time. And kids actually love structure and goals. So start using that to your advantage when you're trying to teach them about kindness. And we talk a lot about shaping young minds. We need to start when we're teaching about kindness, we're actually shaping their hearts, which I think is so important. And those hearts, they grow up, right? To be leaders and community members and change makers. So we want them to be heart centered and kind and empathetic. And so when we start small, they're only going to build and grow on that skill and on that trait. And maybe it will become a core value of theirs. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, an aunt, uncle, neighbor, grandma, whomever you are, if you have a child in your life and you care, you have the power to raise a kinder world. Thank you so much for joining me on this Kindness Advantage podcast today. I hope you walked away with some kind of knowledge or idea. But you know what? Just look for one opportunity to encourage kindness in a young person's life this week, whether it's through modeling your behavior, teaching, or simply just recognizing it and acknowledging it. Because when we nurture kindness in kids, we invest in a brighter, more compassionate future for all of us. I encourage you to keep spreading the kindness, and remember, even little hearts are capable of big love. And together, we create waves of change through kindness. Thank you so much for joining me.